This meeting is being recorded.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
It is so nice to meet you. It is so
Um,
nice to meet you. Yeah, that what the yeah what you see on the host's name. That's me.
yeah,
That's me. I'm Switchbolt. I'm Switchbolt.
hi Switchbolt.
But you can call me Terrell or Switchbolt. It really doesn't matter. It really doesn't
Terrell.
matter.
Okay.
So so my first question is, how did you get your start as an animator? What drew you to animation?
Well, when I was in around sixth grade, I used to collect DVDs of my favorite animated movies. Yeah, you see, we used to watch DVDs back in my day. But on there, they had special features like behind the scenes and trailers. Trailers were always my favorite part. But the behind the scenes features were the most fascinating to me because they would actually show you how to make these animated movies and how the process is done. And I don't know, it just kind of clicked with me because I always wanted to be a filmmaker, and seeing as how animation is this laborious but rewarding process, it just kind of made me realize, hey, I can make movies through animation and, do something really interesting with that. And so I went to school for animation, graduated with a bachelor's and a master's, and I've been freelancing ever since.
Wow. Who and what were your influences?
Um, Eric Goldberg, the animator behind the genie from Aladdin, Richard Williams, who's best known for being the animation director on Who Framed Roger Rabbit and the infamously unfinished Thief and the Cobbler. I'm also inspired by the works of Hayao Miyazaki and Andy Tartakovsky, Tex Avery, Chuck Jones. The list goes on.
That's pretty cool. As an aspiring filmmaker and animator myself, I actually have a lot of influences too. But yeah, I found out that Detective Cat, or should I say, The Incredible Adventures of Detective Cat, started out as a thesis film for SCAD. What's the story behind said thesis film?
Okay, so usually when students go to animation school, they're required to make a short film for their senior year. And usually they would get a bunch of students with them and they would direct like a minute to 5 minute long animated short film and present it for the film festival. Um, and they usually either go off of a prompt or just come up with their own story and go through the motions of production and have it finished. But for a thesis film for graduates, we had to come up with a thesis, right? A statement of purpose. We had to, you know like like search for different topics that relate to filmmaking or animation and the theory behind it. And we had to take a lot of very involved classes like media theory and art criticism to kind of prepare us for that. So I had to do my own research. I had to look at other, senior graduate thesis films, and they're usually based on a paper that you have to write. I mean, I'm just going to tell you right now, for those that want to get a master's, there's going to be a lot of essays. So just FYI. But um, I decided to go with the topic of autism and how it relates to animation and how it's represented in animation. And so, for about a year, I wrote a paper about autistic representation in media, from like uh, Death Note to Arthur. There were a couple examples. It's been a long time since I wrote that paper, but I was working on that, but in tandem, I had to make a visual piece that correlates with that idea. So I basically just made a silly detective short film that just happens to have autistic characters, mainly the main character, Detective Cat. And, this gave me the chance to not only make my own cartoon for school, but also, you know, work it around to where it fits in with my thesis. And if you watch the short, there's a lot of traits that I gave him. Like he has high anxiety, he's hyper fixated on his magnifying glass, he has sensory issues, and Ashley, his partner, is kind of there to be sort of his anchor. And I mean, of course, that's not a monolith towards the autistic community. As many people know, autism is a spectrum. Everybody has different, you know, uh, traits. Um, but I basically based him off of me growing up as a kid. Like I used to love watching Great Mouse Detective, and I used to carry a magnifying glass around and pretend to be this cool detective with how kids say these days, Riz. Yeah, I think I just lost half of your viewers. But anyway,
Riz. Nah.
I, I work with kids, so it comes with the territory. But at the end of the day, I got the film done and presented it, and it got picked up for one film festival up in Rome, Georgia. And after that, I kind of left that alone for a while. But during the later half of 2019, I decided to pick it back up and remake it as a pilot.
Very interesting. You know, I you know, I also found out that it was selected for the Rome International Film Festival, but I was thinking it was Rome, Italy. I had no idea it was Rome, Georgia.
Oh yeah, I sailed all the way across the pond to go to Italy to showcase my film. No, no. I wish, but nope. It's a small town up in northern Georgia. It's a very quaint neighborhood, by the way. Very hilly, lots of sights to see. Small town, a perfect place to showcase a film festival, and everybody there was very nice and had a good time. Made a few connections here and there.
Very cool. And besides, when I said that, when I was talking about, the Rome International Film Festival, or should I say RIFF, because like there's TIFF, Toronto, and then I think there's one in Ottawa, that's also in Ontario. But when I was talking about the Rome International Film Festival, I mean, it's not that I didn't know that Rome existed in Georgia, because I knew that Rome existed in Georgia. But yeah, who wouldn't? But yeah,
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like
who
how
wouldn't
here in
guess?
Texas we have a town called Paris. Go figure.
Yeah, or Atlanta. That's also in Texas too. And me in Georgia, we even have a Dallas.
Now that's news to me.
Yeah. On to the
Atlanta,
next question.
Texas. Okay.
Oh, sorry. What about that?
Oh no, I was just making a short quip.
Uh, on to the next question. What was your impetus in getting to the indie animation scene, and well, and also the pilot itself?
Well, it all started when, as I was graduating, I applied to work on the Haspen Hotel pilot as a cleanup artist. And so I did. And after a year, it got finished. It got, released online, became an international sensation. And it kind of prompted me to want to make my own pilot. That and Nico Colito's Ollie and Scoops. Um, I was just inspired to see, this guy just make a whole cartoon by himself and work with a limited budget and limited resources and still make something really cool, something akin to 90s Nickelodeon cartoons. And I think he did that quite successfully. And I thought, hey, if he can do it, so can I. So I went back to Detective Cat and I started pre production, and I'm still hashing away at it 5 years later. Dang.
Man. And that brings me to another question. I also want to get these questions. I also want to let you know that there's a 40-minute time limit on Webex. I'm currently using the free version as of now because like this is my first time hosting a meeting on Webex. But
That's fine.
the meeting ends at like 3:05, just so you know. But
Mhm.
anyway, now that you mentioned your status, so like how far are you into the pilot? Like how close to completion is it? I've noticed that that's been that it's a if I was correct, it was originally slated for 2022, maybe 2023 around that time.
There is no set deadline at this point. That's, you know, going back to Ollie and Scoops, what I didn't realize at the time was even though Nico was able to make that on his own, he had to spend years of pitching and saving up enough money through his own work in the industry in order to produce it himself. And the fact that you're not seeing any more Ollie and Scoops episodes is the fact that, well, animation's expensive. um, without an industry influence or a backer or a distributor, you're walking, you're going an uphill battle. And, you know, and I was a little too confident in that. I thought that if I started making this, I would build enough influence and maybe raise funds to finish it in the nick of time. But given the way things are in recent years, it's getting a lot harder to crowdfund projects and to support artists. I mean, that's not to say that we shouldn't support artists. I highly encourage we do, but there's a lot of trust when it comes to creating a project, and um, I just feel like I don't really have enough to show to prove that I can raise, say, $30,000 to finish an episode. So until then, I just got to kind of, you know, pull up my bootstraps, as it were, and pretty much finish it on my own for the time being. But even then, it's tough because I'm a substitute teacher. I work on different freelance projects. I get easily burned out from one of those. So it's really tough.
Man, man.
But
Well,
going back to your question about where I am in the pilot, I want to say I'm about 49% done. We got most of the rough animation finished, but I still have a lot of cleanup work to do. I still got to make the backgrounds and layouts, and after all that's done, I got to get a sound designer and sound editor, my composer, and it as you can imagine, the animation pipeline is a lot of work.
wow.
Hmm.
And
So
that
this was far beyond what I anticipated.
brings me to my next question. Um,
Terrell?
oh, I'm right here.
Um, hello?
Uh, apparently the meetings.
Hey,
Apparently the
Terrell.
meeting. Yeah. Oh,
I lost you.
oh. So sorry. Apparently, I just got a notification that the meeting ends in 5 minutes. Yes, even though like even though I scheduled it to be at 2:25. Right now it's 2:45 p.m. where I'm at. I'm currently in,
Yeah.
southeast southeast
Yeah.
east
Yeah.
US.
Hey, do you want to pick this up another time?
Maybe like maybe like I could probably after maybe if I could probably um like reschedule the meeting and pick it up right where we left off. Something of that nature.
Sure. Just give me a day and time and we'll do it.
Is any time today good?
Um, I'm afraid not. I've got a lot of work to do and I'm going out tonight, so
Okay. Okay. Cool. So I'll give you an update. I'll give no, what I meant to say was I'll see if I could schedule around sometime next week. And I
okay,
mean my weekend is tied, but
sure.
for the time being, thank you. Thank you for being an interviewee.
Of course.
Also, I'll see you around.
All right. Take care, man.
Yeah, you too.